Hey, welcome to the Mikey and D experience. D is not here today, so he's, I don't know if he's sleeping off last night or what he's doing, but we still have Fisherman Chad with us. I am Mikey, and we also have special guest John, who is a buddy of mine who plays softball with us. John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm John. That is me.
That is him. So he's a neuroscientist. Is that correct?
He's without question the smartest man in the room.
I can no longer claim that title. So you are the smartest person in the room.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I don't know if that's, if that's saying much compared. I mean, you've got,
It's 100% accurate, but it's not a big feat compared to me and Mikey.
It's not saying a whole lot. So, anyways, let's get down to business today. What do we got to talk about? We talk about Hall of Fame inductees today. Who do we like? Who do we not like? I know you've got two players that you were invested in, Ben Wallace and Chris Webber. Chris Webber at University of Michigan, and Ben Wallace, who's a dirty, dirty, dirty player who played for the Pistons for a number of years. So what are your thoughts?
Well, Chris Webber has a soft place in my heart because I grew up watching Michigan basketball, watching the Fab Five, and the way that guy could play and those spin moves and the way he can rebound. I mean, long arms, jumping ability. He was dynamic as a college player. Now, it seemed like the timeout and everything that happened after that.
The infamous timeouts.
Well, I mean, he never seemed to be the clutch player that, you'd hope he would be. Ever since that experience, even at Sacramento Kings, Mike Bibby was the closer on that team.
That's true. That's true.
And he was a great player up until the last 2 minutes of the game, and then he just get the ball away from him.
Just faded away. He was never that guy who he wanted the ball in the last few seconds of a game. He was never so clutch like that. Like a Steph. Speaking of Steph Curry, you wanted to talk about him, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Steph Curry, scoring title, 46 this afternoon. That kid has got to be part of the MVP conversation. If he's not, the NBA is not doing justice.
Yep. So also a few Celtics players, coaches got inducted today. Paul Pierce.
My dog, Paul Pierce, the man. Best player to ever come out of California, in my opinion. He did it all. He wasn't dynamic. He just played the game, and he played the game hard.
Chris Bosh, what do you think?
Absolutely deserving.
Really?
No question.
All
Deserving. That kid did everything on the floor. It's unfortunate he had a medical condition. He couldn't finish his career. The kid was a 25-12 player. Until he went down.
I forget, what was it that did he have I forget what it was called, the actual disorder that he had. I remember when it came out that he had it, and I was like, oh god, I didn't think it was a huge deal at the time, but then it just really, his career after that, it was just, it was gone. So Jay Wright, Villanova head coach.
Like it.
Like it.
It's one of the best.
Like it.
Yeah.
Bill Russell.
Oh, that's a no-brainer. He's going in easy. No question about it.
Yeah, I thought that was a great pick too. Rick Adelman. I didn't really. I haven't known much about him, honestly. I mean, he was a coach back in the late '80s, early '90s. Led the Trailblazers to 2 NBA Finals appearances.
And the Kings too. Those Kings.
You're right.
Teams,
Yeah.
They were bright. I mean, if it wasn't for Shaq and Kobe, I mean, there was always them and the Kings fighting the Lakers always to win the West.
I remember when Mitch Richmond played for the Kings too. That was I loved his style of play too. Kim's got a soft spot for Jason Williams. We don't need to talk about that though.
White chocolate? Yeah. Well, no. Let's bring this back, Mikey. Let's talk about white chocolate a little bit.
All right, fine.
Why does Kim like Mike?
Why does she like white chocolate? I think it was the look. I mean, he had this.
He was a bad boy.
He was that white boy that just could ball out. I mean,
so
really.
She likes the bad boys.
That's where I come in.
But what happened to him after he left Sacramento? Then they got Mike Bibby, and then they went up another level after they got rid of Jason
Peja Stojakovic.
They did.
Yeah, that was an incredible team back then.
Vlade Divac.
Oh yeah, Vlade Divac. Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know what it is, what her deal is with Jason Williams. She's had the biggest crush on him since I don't even know when. But that's I don't know. It's white guys that play basketball. She's really into.
The boy's smooth, son. That boy can play the game.
He's very smooth. Speaking of smooth, he's not really smooth actually. Aaron Rodgers. What do we think about this week? He made it totally official. He does not want to be in Green Bay. We kind of knew. We knew for the past few months that he does not want to be there.
Aaron Rodgers, you're a freaking crybaby, son.
I don't know.
Play the game, make it up to your family, and go be a good person.
But also, this is not the right time of the year to do that.
Absolutely not.
No, he's an asshole.
Yeah, it just.
It's not the right time, but also I think so when they drafted Jordan Love, he got butthurt. He was so upset about that. But I love Rodgers though. That's the thing. I think he's been such a great player for so long. I don't know what the real reasoning is. I don't know if we'll actually ever know.
But, I mean, come on. I'm a Lions fan, unfortunately.
Oh, God, I feel so bad for you.
Matt Stafford had the same issue, and they're going in a different direction. He had that meeting with the ownership, and then he was traded.
Well, the thing is...
he did it the right way at the right time.
There's the key. Matt did it the right way.
That is true.
He went, and he was a respectable adult about it, and he went and he told you, this is what I want in my situation. Please do this for me. I gave the city this much. Give me that back.
Well,
they did.
The thing is Rodgers is always Packers are contenders every year. Maybe not Super Bowl. Maybe they're not Super Bowl favorites every year, but they're always in the playoffs and they always go pretty deep. Stafford just didn't have a team around him. I totally understand that. I just don't understand Rodgers' reasoning for wanting to leave. Now, when last year, they go to the NFC Championship last year, or the I can't remember.
Conference Championship.
Yeah, they went to the NFC Championship, and I mean, for being his age, and I mean, he's got such talent around him. I mean, the running back core that he has with Aaron Jones, and then Devontae Adams as a receiver, and a few other guys too. I mean, I think they have a great core, and I don't know why he would just want to up and leave like that.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would I would kind of disagree with you saying that Matt Stafford never had the talent around him. I mean, he had Calvin freaking Johnson.
First ballot Hall of Famer, baby.
Golden Tate around him. I mean, they had tons of talent, and they just never put it together. So,
but they haven't had a running game since Barry Sanders was around. And
that's fair.
That opens up so many opportunities for you. When you have that strong running game, they're going to double team Calvin Johnson or Golden Tate every time.
And their defense has definitely been suspect. When it comes to the Detroit Lions, their defense has been suspect since Calvin Johnson. Name a Pro Bowler that's been on there since Calvin Johnson. There might be a handful. There's not very many.
Yeah, I don't know.
The cornerback.
I'm not a Lions fan, so
even the Lions fan can't come up with the name. Proves my point.
He's a corner for the Eagles. I can't remember his name, but yeah, corner for the Eagles right now. He's really good. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Look it up. It's we've all got Google. Just look it up. Look it up. It's fine.
I'm gonna look this up. This is gonna bother me.
Go ahead. So we're talking about NFL quarterbacks, particularly. So Deshaun Watson, what do we think? He's just a dumpster fire right now. Is he going to be back in the league? I mean, there's a few things going on with him. He obviously is not going to. Doesn't want to play for the Texans next year, and then the whole allegations of the sexual he had kind of a sexual encounters with I think about 30 women have come forward so far, saying that he's tried to I think when he was getting massages or something, he would try to I don't know if it was soliciting them or if he was trying to sexually harass them or whatever, but
I think the word is manipulation.
I think he's just a shit human being, honestly.
But I also wonder the timing of this is that right after, us talking about Aaron Rodgers not giving the right timing, he gave them the right timing of letting him know that he wanted to go elsewhere. And what happens after? All this shit comes out.
Yeah, I can't.
So I don't know. Like, have the Texans, has Clemson been cleaning up after his behavior for all these years, and then all of a sudden he wants to get out, and then all of a sudden all this stuff comes out. So
that was the shitstorm.
Right, that could be true. And also, I was thinking when it first came out, I was like, "Wow, this is great timing for all these allegations to come out." Maybe they're not even. Maybe they paid women to say this stuff, so no other team would want him.
Yeah, because and they knew that they're not going to get full trade value for him.
Absolutely not.
The NFL is pretty slimy. I don't know if they're going to destroy a man's reputation just on trade value alone. It'd be very tough.
I don't know. I mean, the NFL teams are ruthless. They want to win, and they'll do anything to get to that level.
Sure.
Two words for you guys: Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, absolutely. I can talk about that.
Let's get to that here in just a minute, because I have a lot to talk about when it comes to Colin Kaepernick.
I got a feeling that I kind of know your opinion on Colin Kaepernick.
I bet I'll surprise you.
I don't think you will.
But when back to Deshaun, you're talking 25, 30 plus women coming forth and saying these same allegations, and it's they're not swaying from it. It's pretty consistent. If it was 2 or 3, 4 or 5 women, you might be able to kind of side with him and say, they're looking for money. It's a money grab. It's a ploy. But when you get up to that many women, how can you argue they're telling the same things that are happening and they've never met one another?
Well,
it's hard to say that that's not the case.
Money talks. So, they could have been paid off. Who knows? I don't really want to speak out of line, but that's kind of what we do here. We
speak out of line. That's what we do.
Maybe these are false allegations. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But all I know is that it came out at a very opportune time for the Texans. It just doesn't add up. The timing of everything, him wanting to leave, and then all of a sudden, boom, all these allegations come out. I don't understand it.
It certainly seems pretty shady.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and who knows? I mean, maybe he is a scumbag. I don't know. I mean, I've never met him. I don't know him. He's not even in our town, so we don't get a firsthand look at him every week. So
when it comes to the Texans, they're not relevant here in the state of Indiana.
They're not relevant.
No, they're not. They're not relevant. We don't talk about them. We don't care.
Well, they're not relevant in the NFL. Period.
Deshaun Watson. Okay, goodbye. Good guy, bad guy. Who gives a shit? We need to talk about the Colts, or we need to move on.
And also, I mean, Texans are probably the worst run NFL franchise.
Well,
that's coming from a Lions fan.
That's a sad statement because that is coming from a Lions fan.
They dumped every player they had after the offseason. I'm like, what the hell are they doing?
They traded David Johnson for wide receiver.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
The number one wide receiver in the freaking world, and you're going to give him up for
David
Johnson.
Gave him away. David Johnson 4 years ago, I could see. He had maybe two really solid years. After that, he was just an average running back. Just kind of mediocre.
Average is putting him on a pedestal.
He had some
average is putting him on a pedestal.
He had a couple good years in Phoenix.
He had 2 incredible years. After that, average is putting him on a pedestal. And he was subpar as a running back in the NFL.
And even that, running backs these days, as they age, these guys are worth nothing.
No, absolutely.
And it's terrible to think because these guys, the brutality that they have to go through every single game is incredible.
Yeah,
and they get paid pennies compared to the other players.
You think of running backs in the NFL between 23 and 27. That's when your best years are going to be. Once you hit late 20s, early 30s, most running backs can't do what they did in their mid 20s. That's a very small time frame to be able to be a great player and make a mark in the game. I mean, Barry Sanders, one of the best running backs of all time, from your Detroit Lions. He left. How old was he when he left the game? He was pretty young, right?
He was 29 when he left the game, I think.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, because
Barry's a smart man.
Yeah,
get your money and get out.
Yeah, but I mean,
keep your health.
Well, also he was his head coach at the time was Bobby Ross, who ran a pretty tight ship.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to go through all the shit that he made all the players go through.
Sure. And I don't blame him there.
No.
I remember hearing about Bo Jackson back in the day. He never wanted to practice. He said practice is a waste of time. I'm not going to sacrifice my body in practice.
And you don't blame him for these running backs?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Especially two guys like Barry and Bo.
Yeah.
What couldn't those guys do on the field?
Well, in two sports
I would have given anything to see Bo Jackson finish his career healthy, to see what kind of numbers he put up in the NFL and in baseball.
I saw a poll the other day about who would you like to have seen, like whose career was too short. Everyone said Bo Jackson. I mean, that was...
How can you pick against the guy?
He was just... So he had like 2 solid years in baseball, but in football... He was just a machine. Remember did you ever play Tecmo Super Bowl?
Yeah.
As a kid?
You couldn't stop the guy.
Yeah. They could not. You could not stop him. He had that move where you go diagonally on the field. If you got behind the secondary of the other team, there was no way you could stop him. That's how much.
Bo Jackson was a cheat code before there was cheat codes.
Actually, absolutely right. I mean, he really was. He was just because I watched that You Don't Know Bo documentary on the 30 for 30, which is so good, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you need to check that out. I mean,
but
time out.
Actually, I don't know. So, what was your favorite team for Tecmo Super Bowl?
What?
The Raiders.
No,
Raiders?
No question.
Mine was the Niners.
No question.
Mine was actually the Eagles.
Who?
The Eagles.
Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham.
So good
you
in
couldn't
that
stop
game.
him either.
And you could just run, and if you had the players right, you can just start running.
That is,
or you can throw. I mean, you can run. I mean, and he wasn't Randall Cunningham in that game. He was quarterback Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of the quarterbacks didn't want their name. Well, I think so. I was the Niners. I always played as the Niners because I loved Roger Craig, I loved Tom Rathman, and I loved Jerry Rice. And I don't know if Montana. I don't know if it said QB 49ers. I can't remember. But Montana obviously was great in that game.
He was the QB 49ers.
He was QB 49ers?
Yes,
okay. Yeah, because that was always my team. I never played the Colts. I didn't play the Colts in any kind of video game until probably 2008, 2009.
I'm a Colts fan, and it's 2021, and I still haven't played as the Colts.
I mean,
sorry.
Yeah. I mean, if I can make it like an all Tecmo team from, from say 1980 to the present, so if you could do that, who would so say you could get a quarterback, a running back, and 2 wideouts. Who would you pick since say the past 30, 35 years? Who would you pick? So you get a quarterback, a running back, 2 wide receivers.
In the past 35 years?
Yeah, 1980s till now.
I give me Tom Brady as quarterback. No question. Give me Tom Brady.
Can't throw the long ball.
Hey, you don't need to throw a long ball when you can dink and dunk everyone and nobody can stop it. He's got 6 championships to prove it.
Running back.
Oh, all day sweetness. Give me Walter Payton, baby.
All right.
That boy is an animal. There's nothing that man couldn't do on the field, and there's nobody that could stop him.
2 wide receivers.
2 wide receivers. Got to go with Jerry Rice. I got to have a great possession receiver that could stretch the field if he needed to.
Yep.
And then give me Calvin Johnson.
Oh, there you go.
I want a big boy to go downfield. I want that big target, that rangy target, go downfield, go up over top of you. Because if you keep Jerry underneath, who's going to stop him one-on-one? You can't stop those boys one-on-one.
Yeah, that's true. All right, John, who do you got?
All right, well,
do you have Rodney Pete?
I mean, running back, I have to choose Barry Sanders. Wide receiver,
Obviously.
I have to choose Calvin Johnson. So
There
let's
you go.
just take those off the board now.
So you got 1 receiver and the quarterback left.
Oh, man, that's tough. Quarterback, I got to go with Joe Montana. I mean, how clutch he was.
Yeah.
I'm going Joe Montana. And then second wide receiver, I got to go Randy Moss.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Randy
That's a
Moss
stud.
was.
That boy is a
Oh, yeah,
stud.
absolutely.
You can't go wrong with those guys.
I'm totally going to flip the script on both of you.
He's going Bart Starr because he's the old
Bart. I mean, John's the old one here now. I'm not the oldest one in the room anymore. Quarterback, you're going to laugh. I'd go Mahomes. I would totally go Mahomes.
You're going to say Peyton Manning.
Nope. And running back, I would go AP. Just
What?
because.
Huh.
In the last 30 years, you're going AP?
Why not?
Man.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Holy shit!
Because look at it. I've got a backfield now that I can do anything I want with. So I've got Mahomes who can run. I got AP who can run. What are they going to do? And then all right, I'll just keep going. I'm taking Deshaun Watson, not Deshaun Watson. That was a mix up from earlier. Taking Hopkins actually.
Oh.
And then I am taking Rice.
Nice.
But they're both fairly. They're not big guys, but they stretch the field. Speedy. I mean, great hands. I think that'd be. I mean, I'm sorry. I'd go AP all day long. I mean, there are better running backs out there, but
AP's always been a great running back.
But in his
prime, nobody can argue that.
In his prime,
he was one of the greatest of all time. Can't argue that. Yeah. But in the past 35 years, there's definitely a handful that are better. In my opinion,
I understand.
AP, if you're listening for some reason, who the hell knows why, you're clearly bored. Don't hit me with a switch.
Oh God. Oh my God! All right,
I'm surprised no one mentioned Emmitt Smith.
I didn't even think of the Cowboys. Actually, we have Irvin, Emmitt Smith. I mean, God,
Troy Aikman.
Aikman was he was a serviceable quarterback. He wasn't. I don't think he was ever really that. I mean, he was a good quarterback.
Emmett and Michael Irvin made Troy Aikman look a whole lot better.
Well, yeah, that's what good receivers do.
Also, that team was just so steady.
They really were
stacked throughout the whole team.
I mean,
they had 7 or 8 Pro Bowlers every year through the 90s.
I mean, the O line was just ridiculous. Yeah. Remember Nate Newton? He was like 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Charles Haley, one of the best defensive ends of all time.
Yeah. Hell, Deion Sanders played for him for a while. Yeah, he played for him for a while.
That was incredible. That team through the 90s was amazing.
And they just stabbed Buffalo in the heart every year. I felt so bad because every year I root for Buffalo. I don't know why.
Buffalo fans, I will always be a Thurman Thomas fan.
Oh,
so
Thurman Thomas.
Sorry, because that dude was a stud, and he got robbed. So Jim Kelly,
did.
Buffalo, I feel for you.
Thurman Thomas was a great. Actually, that's another one I liked playing with on Tecmo.
Dude was an animal.
He was an
animal.
He was really good on Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah, quarterback Bills too.
QB Bills. I remember QB
Bills 12.
I don't know what Jim Kelly's deal was because didn't want. I guess they couldn't. I don't know. They couldn't get a agreement with them, or did they have to pay them money or something like?
Sure, it was money.
I don't know what it was, but remember NBA Jam? You could. Michael Jordan wasn't on there. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was Pippen and Horace Grant.
Yep.
Yeah.
They would have been so great with Jordan.
I think there's John Paxson too. I think you can flip
I
those.
Yeah.
think even Rodman was on there.
I think he was 1 year. Yeah. Back in like the late '90s. But
I remember, you're my favorite player of all time, but you're a dick.
Jordan was never on any.
Send me an autograph.
No video games when we were a kid. He was never on any of them. And
except his own game.
Except
Jordan versus Bird.
Jordan versus Bird, which was a horrible game, by the way.
Terrible.
The only ones
16-bit bullshit.
The only ones I loved were NBA Jam and NBA Live. NBA Live '95 it might still be one of the best NBA games of all time on Super Nintendo.
But regular Nintendo. Double dribble, baby.
Oh,
Get some.
Double dribble. Oh my God,
regular
that was so
Nintendo.
Good. That was
best basketball game of all time.
I disagree. I like Tecmo NBA basketball.
That was a good one.
I don't think I ever played that.
Really? It was fun. They had all the players' names.
Nice.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Mike. It was for the poor kids.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Right. Okay. Anyways, I didn't waste my time. But did you prefer Tecmo Bowl or Tecmo Super Bowl? I preferred Super Bowl.
Oh, Super Bowl, definitely.
That was
where you have like the 8 plays and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Halfback sweep. That was my go-to.
Give me old school Tecmo Bowl
all
day.
Oh.
Really?
Give me the green wrap on the cassette. That's what I want. I want the Raiders, and I want Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson, and I will kill anybody that wants to play me.
And Walter Payton too.
Oh yeah,
was good in that game.
He was on there. Who was there? Was Jim McMahon their quarterback, or Or was that
think
after
so.
him?
Yes,
Yeah.
because that was in '87, so McMahon was still
Okay.
in their
All
quarterback.
right.
Willie Galt.
Willie
Oh,
Galt was a
yeah.
beast.
Yeah.
Just throw
He's
it deep
pretty-
to him, or you
yeah.
had Walter Payton. Yeah.
He's pretty underrated when it comes to all time.
He really is. You don't hear much about him.
No,
You
he had a big part.
Yeah, you
in
never,
the Bears' success.
Yeah, you never hear his name. In the Bears, you always hear you always hear Walter Payton. You always hear
Refrigerator Perry,
Fridge. You always hear. I mean,
Mike Singletary.
Yeah, because
McMahon.
I mean, they had a great defense. I mean, that's
Their,
what
their defense was
that,
incredible.
the '85 Bears. That's what won them because McMahon was not a great quarterback.
No, McMahon had like 3,000 yards that season.
I mean, who were his receivers? Do we even know who his receivers were? Can we even do we? Can
Willie
we,
Galt was one of them. That's about
I mean, besides Willie Galt, can we name?
I think Willie Galt. Are you listening? Did you have the whole 3,000 yards? Because nobody knows who the hell he was throwing the ball to.
I don't know who else they had. Honestly, it's an interesting question. Because my uncle was a huge Bears fan back in the day. And
Call him. Who the hell were they throwing the ball to?
I know. He would know. He would know too. So speaking of NFL, they have said that next season the players and staff will not have to wear masks on the sidelines. What do we think? We think it's good, right? It's a good thing.
Thank God.
It's a good thing, right?
Can we get
about
over this
time.
bullshit?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm talking to the neuroscientist. Let's see what you have to say on
Well,
this.
Yeah,
I
let's
just wanna
talk to the
say-
smart guy.
I just want to say, like, for the record, my expertise is not in immunology, virology, or anything related to COVID.
But you're much smarter.
Hold
about
up,
this than
John,
we are.
slow down. Not a soul that's listening to this has any clue what the hell you're talking about when you just said that shit.
We just want
Okay.
to hear
You got to dumb it down for the sports fans
we
here.
just want to hear your thoughts on where COVID's at now, vaccinations, and about masks right now, about the direction we're going, about if you think it's the right time to do these things. Go ahead.
So I can tell you, as a scientist, you're trained to have your opinions be based on data.
Sure.
So data is what forms anything that I think or anything I have an opinion about COVID and all. And at least right now, it seems like outdoor spread is slim to very minimal.
Right.
So yeah, anytime anyone's outside, they should not wear a mask. It makes sense to me. But
you heard it right here first.
being
He's from the
said-
CDC.
that
Go
being
ahead.
said, there's probably a limit to that. Probably a certain,
Sure.
density of people probably then does lead to a decent amount of spread. But at the certain point we're at right now, where I just read something that at least 60% of Americans have gotten at least one shot.
And that's great.
Hopefully we're through at least through the worst part of this, and it doesn't mutate to the point of where we have to go back to where we were for the last year. Because I don't know about you guys, this last year has been awful.
I think everyone could agree, but that's the thing. So 60% have at least gotten the first vaccination,
shot.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's amazing. That's awesome too because
I'm one of the 40, baby.
I know.
Don't put that
I know.
shit in my body.
I know you're so ignorant, but anyways, you're what's holding us back. You are really what's holding us back.
I mean, that's the only way we can get out of this.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, the only way we can get out of this is probably some kind of herd immunity.
Yeah.
That's it. And how do we get herd immunity? Well, one really effective way is through these shots, because the amount of antibodies that the vaccines produce is 10, 20, 30 fold of what the actual virus does. So
Yeah.
we can actually shut down this thing so much faster with technology.
Sure. Well, so I know there have been a few different strains over the past few months.
Makes sense.
So do you think that there could be more mutations coming along in the next few months, year? I mean, however long it's going to be.
Well, all this is probability. That's how biology works.
Sure.
Is that there's every time it enters another person, there's a mutation.
Yeah.
Most cases, the mutation has no effect whatsoever
Mm-hmm.
on the virus, but sometimes there's this rare mutation in which makes the virus more difficult to stop,
Okay.
or more easily spread.
Okay.
And that's how you get these variants that people produce on. However, again, this is not my background. I just want to say that this is an opinion based a small, but it seems like it doesn't mutate as much as something like the common flu.
Sure.
That was my question for you, John.
Yeah.
As you're going through and you see certain things, it's not mutating the same as the common flu? Is it something that doesn't have the same variants as a common flu? Is it something that's going to change and we're going to have to continue to develop vaccinations for like the flu?
That's what
Possibly.
That's what I was wondering. Are we going to have to get a COVID vaccine every year now? I mean, I'm sure we don't know anything yet, but I mean, could that be a possibility?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But all your antibodies are going to be designed against the spike protein, which should be consistent across all the different variants. But there may be a certain mutation that can get around your antibodies for the COVID. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's why this is so hard. Is that the more people that it affects, the more chances for mutation, and then you're just rolling the dice that you're going to get the wrong mutation that's going to send us back in the same situation that we're at, for the last year. So that's the scary part with this.
This is not his expertise, by the way, if you couldn't tell. He has no idea what he's talking about. Okay. we Chad and I feel like elementary school kids compared to him.
Well, here, Fisherman Chad talking right now. Elementary school or not, John, I'm going to go get the vaccination just because you're laying some knowledge on me.
Did you just convince him to get the vaccine?
He's laying knowledge on me. There's a lot of things that I don't know a ton about, and I hide from it. There's a reason I hide from it.
Well,
But I trust in John, and I trust in his intelligence.
I don't know if you trust in John. He's a neuroscientist.
He's one to trust in. I'm going to go 90-10 because he is a Detroit fan.
I mean,
but we're gonna work with it.
And a Michigan fan.
But also, too...
I'm all right with the Michigan part.
You went to Michigan, right?
Yeah, I went to Michigan.
Yeah. Oh, God.
But,
holy shit, he is the most intelligent fan.
Oh, my God.
But also with this, I mean, there are risks just like anything in life. But, I mean, at least the numbers that I've seen, it's like 1 in a million have adverse reaction to the vaccines. But if you're talking about 1 in a million versus 1 out of 100... with the actual virus, I mean, that's pretty good.
That's sure. Absolutely.
1 out of a million is a whole hell of a lot better than 1 without.
Totally.
Well, here's Fisherman Chad signing off. I won't be back next week. I'm going to be that 1 in a million.
I will say that I got my second dose yesterday, and it kicked my ass.
It does. It
kicked
my ass.
Yeah, I mean, it probably about... I'd say probably 14 hours after I got it.
The smart guy is just smart, so you know he's going to be soft. Mikey, he's just soft because he's soft. I'm
just soft because I'm soft. Yeah, that is very true. But man, I was knocked on my ass last night. It was pretty. I'm still not 100%. I'm about 70% right now. So I apologize, but yeah, it feels good to have it done. I feel much better about. It's not really. It wasn't about me really. It was about being around other people. I didn't want to be inconsiderate because people have strong opinions about it, and you never know when you could actually infect somebody. So that's why, and for me, that was one of the main reasons why I got it. And I feel like in the next few months, there could be one of those, you have to show your vaccine card, your vaccination card to be able to get into an event or something like that. Do you think that would be a scenario that could actually happen?
No.
Really?
No.
Really?
I doubt it. Well, maybe some parts in the country. They're talking about in parts of California that they have to show a vaccine card to go into certain places.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think in a place like this, Indiana is not going to have that happen. Well, but, I mean, it's a shame that this whole issue has to be so polarizing and people have to...
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a personal decision, and, it's scary to potentially think of this thing that, pharmaceutical companies produce so quickly after this, vaccine. So I understand how people don't trust it. However, I think we have enough data at this point that, places like Israel have completely shut down the virus, where they are going back to a completely normal life.
Right.
And look in this country, now we're at almost 60%, and all of a sudden, cases are going down. We're getting rid of this.
Like it was just like today when we went out to dinner. It's the first restaurant I've ever seen since, in the past, almost a year, that had a sign on the door that said masks optional. And I thought that was just amazing that we're actually, we're going in the right direction. And, we went to a baseball game today, and they said in June they're at 25% capacity right now. And they said that June they're raising, I don't know if it's going to be 100% or if it's 50% or what, but I know a lot of major league stadiums are going to 100% within the next month or so, which is great news. This has been, having sports in the past year has been great. It's been something to kind of get our minds off of everything that's going on, but also you just want to have fans in the buildings. It's not the same.
No,
it's definitely you're right.
No. And I think my one of my biggest concerns about getting the shot to protect myself or protect others is the fact that there's no data on it. There hasn't been for a long time. Now that they're starting to finally develop data, and you got guys like John in here that have dedicated their lives to science.
He didn't make a vaccine.
No.
If you ask me about diabetes, I can tell you an expert opinion on diabetes.
But this gentleman, he clearly he's not a part of the vaccine development or nothing of that nature. But what the guy does is he's dedicated his life to neuroscience. He's dedicated himself to science in general. I'll respect that man's decisions, and I'll respect his opinion, and I think that's maybe going to push me into getting the shots that I need to get.
Then that's all we needed, John, was you to come up here and knock some sense into it.
But guess what? I will always respect everybody else's opinion. I wear my mask if I go into a restaurant or I go into a gas station, because for me, I would never want to affect anyone with this terrible disease. You know, whether it's harmful or not, I don't know, because I'm not a scientist. But I do know that it has taken lives, and I'll never be the one that gives it to someone else.
I mean, 600,000 people have died in this country over the last little more than a year.
So
I mean, that's crazy. Wars don't kill 600,000 Americans.
I mean, that's when you stop and think about that, 600,000 people. But then also you've got we could talk. This is almost a conspiracy theory. What about? So I think the rate of the flu, did that go down? It seemed like it went down this year.
Yeah.
Is that true or false?
Yes, it's true.
So could some of those cases have actually been the flu, and not COVID?
No, because it's a completely different PCR test. Yeah. Well, so you're not you don't diagnose COVID based on just symptoms, which may appear the same as flu. You would have to present with those kind of symptoms and then get tested. And the PCR testing is specific for COVID. It's not for general infection. So no.
Okay. Well,
that's not likely. But what did happen is that. So what did happen is that if you add in masks and social distancing, that would completely wipe out basically any of these communicated viruses.
Okay.
Yeah, that would happen.
So then why did the number of flu cases go down this past year?
Because if we act like they do in Asia, and if we wear masks in public, that would certainly deter the number of flu cases.
Now I understand what you're saying now.
Well, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Mikey.
You're fine.
But with that being said, okay, when we look at the flu versus the coronavirus, can some of those cases be contributed to one another? I mean, is there something that says, no, this is the coronavirus?
Well, that's what he was just
PCR testing.
That's what he was just saying.
So it's genetic testing.
So the genetic testing itself.
Well, it's not genetic, but it's the testing itself. It's doing the genetic testing of the virus. So you'd have to pick up a unique sequence that is on that virus versus a different virus. That's how you would.
So you can 100% tell the difference, and it's not even questionable. It's 100%
yes.
fact.
So if you did it just based on symptoms, that's one thing.
Right.
You can actually do the PCR tests are a certain genetic sequence that they amplify.
Okay.
And it's unique to that virus versus other virus versus the cold.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible.
That's how they diagnose it. Yeah.
I think that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean that really is, because that was one of those things that was going around for a while. Is people were saying, "Hey, there's no flu cases this year. Why is that?"
Well, yeah, because
they're all being diagnosed as COVID.
Don't know what they're talking about.
It sounds like next flu season, if we ain't got to wear it for the corona, we better wear it for the flu. Put your mask on, folks.
That's kind of why.
Well, it's cost benefit of all this. Like, is it worth 0.1% chance of being sent to the hospital?
Right.
Which happens with the flu.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. And that's why, like you mentioned,
versus a 1%. I mean, you're talking about
Well, like you mentioned, in Asia, they all wear masks. Like in Tokyo, they all wear masks.
After SARS, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It seems like over there in that area of the world, anywhere you go, they wear masks.
Yeah.
It seems like they never have anything on but a mask.
But does that weaken your immune system, though, always wearing a mask? Oh.
That's a tough
I think
call.
I stumped him.
There's... Yeah, that's tough.
Really?
Yeah, I get you could make that argument. Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I thought, you're not breathing in all the normal dust, debris, whatever you normally breathe in. It's all being, not all, I guess, quite a bit of it's being blocked by the mask. So, I mean, that I feel like that could weaken your immune system, honestly.
Immune systems are silly, just like with, too much of an immune system is a bad thing in the case of allergies.
Sure.
Too weak of an immune system is really bad with, and too strong of immune systems are bad with autoimmune diseases. All these things are like too much and too little are both bad.
Sure.
You want like the
it's kind of
right
like beer.
amount.
You just want that right amount, that perfect balance.
Yeah.
But there it is, the perfect balance.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the world that's got a perfect balance.
Right.
Well, that's true. I don't know.
And talk about perfect balance. That's the issue with COVID. The fact that it infects so many people, but for so many of them, they're asymptomatic or have very mild responses, and it's so contagious. It's that combination of a virus. We haven't seen something quite like that. That's so deadly yet so contagious, but only deadly to 1% of people.
Okay, so here's a question I have. Obviously, the Corona-19 virus is contagious.
Corona-19 virus?
COVID-19.
Yes.
It is obviously very contagious. But is it as contagious as the flu or bronchitis or any other diseases we have right now?
I don't know that.
That's not data that you have. Okay.
I don't know. I don't study that. I'm not sure exactly comparing how contagious it is.
Folks, John's going to study. Next week we'll have an answer.
Hold on. We need to go back to last week. So,
shit.
You already know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
So, at the end of last week's podcast, if you recall, Dalton, Chad, and I decided to go to a graveyard. Chad was so pumped up about this, by the way.
Chad was not pumped up. Chad took them where they wanted to go.
Chad told us where we need to go. He said, yes, we're going to go here. He says, I've seen so much crazy shit at this place. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's fucking go. So we first off, he can't find it. It takes him, what's supposed to be a 20-minute drive took us an hour and a half.
I never said it was a 20-minute drive. I said it was a 40-minute drive. And it clearly took us 15 minutes. I got a little sidetracked. You actually said... I'm not going to lie. You've been there in 20 years.
You said about 20 minutes. But anyways, fact is, so we go, and this dude doesn't even want to get out of the truck because he's so scared. Dalton and I are walking around this graveyard. It's probably midnight. We're walking in the graveyard like, oh, this tombstone's cool. It's from 1808. It's from 1820, whatever. This dude is so frightened being in this graveyard. He says, guys, we gotta go now. So I don't know. Have you say you've had paranormal experiences before?
Without question, I have.
But
it's not even debatable.
I don't know. I'm sorry. That night, I don't think the ghosts were out. The ghosts weren't out that night.
You know what? The ghost may not have been out that night. I'm not gonna lie, but I've been in that place so many times,
dude,
I've seen so many things.
I saw what I saw was.
I'll always be a little apprehensive in that place.
What I saw was a graveyard, and that was it.
I've been to places that I'm not apprehensive, that other people might be, but that's not one that I'm apprehensive about. I truly have a terrible experience there. Not gonna pretend I don't.
All right. I mean, that's on you. John, you love conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I do. They're great.
Let's talk about one.
Okay.
What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? What's conspiracy?
Just name one.
JFK.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
God, Jesus, you went all out, didn't you? You went all out, didn't you?
He just went balls to the wall.
Holy hell!
Besides,
smartest guy in the room just said, "Hell with it, we're gonna go nuts."
Besides 9/11, he picked the biggest one he could have picked. So, all right, the one bullet theory. What do you think? You think it was?
Man, this is tough.
You think it was more than one bullet?
Probably.
Okay, it was more than one bullet. Okay, now did somebody? So I've heard that what's his name? The guy who killed him,
Lee Harvey
Oswald.
Yeah.
So was he hired by somebody to kill JFK, or did he do it just on his own free will?
I mean, I don't know what happened, but it certainly seems like JFK was involved in a lot of questionable associations throughout his whole life. That I don't know. It could be any.
I think the whole Kennedy family is just there's something. I've always thought there was something.
A lot of shady.
Yeah.
Yeah. It certainly seems like it's plausible that some very powerful people got rid of him.
So you think he was not working alone? You think Oswald was not working alone?
That would be my assumption, and the way that this all the evidence that the government has just isn't being released. Mm-hmm. Heck, even Trump, that was one thing he said he was going to do, which I loved. The fact that he was going to release all that information from the commission, and they didn't.
They didn't, yeah.
And it's still under lock and key that we don't know what happened.
So who has the authority to release it, though?
It just makes me
Commander-in-Chief.
suspicious.
Well,
it makes me suspicious. There's something there. The government was involved or was aware of. Or
I truly believe that.
So why? So I saw JFK the movie probably 15 years ago. So I'm not the biggest JFK buff. I don't.
Me neither.
But what was he actually doing? I know he had the thing with Cuba. And
he was involved in the mob.
See, I didn't know anything about that.
And that's supposedly how Marilyn Monroe was killed.
Point blank.
See, conspiracies about that.
The government conspired to kill John F. Kennedy because he had too much power.
And then the other thing that I guess we haven't talked about either is that there are conspiracies that he didn't want to get into Vietnam.
No, he wanted to stay away from that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He absolutely wanted to stay away from that. And you know why? Because there's no reason to send our fucking troops to take care of other countries' wars.
And what wasn't it? Was it LBJ that basically brought the Americans to Vietnam? Was it LBJ? Am I correct?
I think it was LBJ and then
Carter
accelerated.
No, it was Nixon. Nixon. It was Nixon.
Nixon and Carter brought him home.
Well, Carter, I think. Yeah. But so they want. So did they want? Did the powers that be want JFK out and want LBJ in because he was for going to Vietnam?
I mean, this is where all this stuff gets really difficult because there's so many different things that could have explained that. But I think the common thread is there are a lot of explanations for things like the mob, things like anti-Cuba, or the military-industrial complex. I mean, all these potential players could have had reasons to off JFK because he wasn't given to them. So what do I think happened? Man, I don't know. But all I know is I don't buy the lone gunman. I don't buy the Lee Harvey Oswald.
Was there somebody
and the fact that our government doesn't want to release this information means that there's something that they don't want the public to see. So what that is, I have no idea.
Was there a shooter on the grassy knoll?
Probably.
Really? All right.
That would make the most sense.
So
there are multiple shooters.
Because I feel like that that one bullet, it had to go like through him and then hit. Did Jackie get hit or did it graze her or something like that? I can't remember if it. I don't think. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm thinking. Oh, his the guy that was sitting behind him got hit too, right?
Oh yeah, the governor of Texas.
Yeah. So, but did he die or did he live? I don't remember.
He lived.
Okay, so he got hit, and that was. I mean, So Oswald got trained in the Marines. He was a sharpshooter, I guess, in the Marines. Like he got one of those awards, like where like the Marksman Award or whatever. Do you think he could have gotten off that shot that hit JFK and then hit the governor of Texas as well?
He was probably a gunman, but the fact that he was killed so quickly by Jack Ruby, I mean, all of this is just all of this is so suspicious.
There's too much suspect in this.
Well, who was?
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's an easy person to pin this all on. That I mean, all of this just reeks of some other explanation. That's all.
It was Jack Ruby working for. Was he tied? Was he tied in the?
He was a club owner.
He had mob ties though, right?
Yeah. That's where the mob part comes in this. Maybe it was the mob did this. I mean, why would the government? I have no idea why the government wouldn't want us to know any of this stuff.
Power.
Yeah.
God, I wish
too much power.
But if it wasn't an inside
but the man was liked all over the world.
Yeah,
he's not like some of our other presidents. The man was liked by the Russians.
The thing
he
is,
was liked by the Chinese.
He
the Japanese.
knew he was going to get reelected.
Well,
and he knew. But he was all of our, even our foes, not just our allies, but our foes liked the man.
Sound like Trump?
He did. They loved this guy because he was a realist and he understood what it took to run a country.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I honestly don't know enough about the subject. I mean, I know about possible second shooter. I know about the book depository and all that. So I don't know enough to really speculate on what happened. But it's always interesting to talk about it.
And if it was straightforward and it's exactly what it looks like, why won't they let us see the evidence? Why do they hide this away from us? There has to be something else going on that they don't want us to see.
Well, obviously, I mean,
because they killed him intentionally.
That is a possibility.
That's really the only thing you can come up with. I mean, at the end of the day,
or they didn't want to let us see that Cuba killed him or something.
You ever wonder how
some other explanation, and the government doesn't want the world to know that happened.
But you know what? When it comes, I can't speak upon other governments in other countries. But when it comes to the U.S. government, in my opinion, this is straight from me. Transparency is the key.
Absolutely.
Allow us to see and know what's going on.
A government's never been transparent. You wonder.
No, you're 100% right.
You
never
wonder.
been transparent.
I mean, you wonder how many secrets the government is actually keeping.
But that's why our country. But that's why our country right now is so divided. It's so divided right now because we have no transparency. Allow everybody to see every detail.
Well,
that's what built our country.
The thing
that's
is,
what made us great.
I think people see the details, but some people take them a different way. They'll form their own opinions about them.
But that's what our country's about: is freedom of choice. See something, make a decision.
Well, I mean,
we don't even give them a decision anymore.
Well, people can make their own conclusions about things, but I think what happens is people are misinformed and they make rash decisions or they make uninformed decisions about things that they really don't know about, and that's kind of what divides this country. Because you go on Facebook and you see stupid memes that are 100% false, but then they keep circulating and circulating. Eventually, people start believing in this stuff when you're not. When all of your news and all of your information comes from like Facebook and Instagram or whatever, and you see all these memes, all these posts, you believe that's the truth. You don't do any research, you don't do any fact checking, and that's really what. Think about it. 10 years ago, I mean, there were obviously people that didn't like Obama. There were people that did like him, but I think when you had friends and you talked to them about politics. It was never like I don't feel like it was that heated back then. You know what I mean?
I would agree with that. But going back to the transparency issue, I think the problem is that no one is rewarded for transparency.
Oh, no.
And in fact, people are rewarded for deception.
Well,
and lying to people works. Telling people what they want to hear instead of actually what you're going to do. Lying, as you're saying, like lying people about all of the issues going on in our country works.
Yeah.
It works.
Absolutely. And the thing is, remember Edward Snowden? He had all the information on what the hell was it? I cannot remember what it was.
The NSA.
Yes. And they treated him like just a piece of shit. And like he's one of those rare people that said, "This is not right. I'm going to tell what's actually happening." And that's what happens when people tell the truth about what's really going on. They get turned into, I wouldn't say a martyr, but I mean that could be the right word for it. But they speak the truth about what's really going on, and then they have to leave the country because the government's going to be after them if they keep living here.
And unfortunately, that's the case. Unfortunately, and I think there is a predominant view, which then leads to more lack of transparency, which begets less transparency,
right.
which leads to less transparency.
It's just a cycle that,
and then I don't know how you change that.
Yeah, that's really just one of those things that it'll never end. I think it's only going to get worse.
But I would personally agree with what Chad said, is that transparency would make things better if light is the best disinfectant for some of these
Absolutely.
things. And if we all work together and try to help a common good, the problem is common good doesn't sell today.
No, absolutely not.
Is fighting against the other side.
Oh,
the other side is the devil. And we need you to help us fight the devil. That's what works.
That's absolutely what it is.
Because it doesn't make a good country. What it does, it just sells good TV, newspapers, things like that.
Absolutely,
it makes us weaker as a country.
It gets ratings up. It does all these things, but it doesn't help the country out one bit. That's what I was saying earlier. Is you used to be able to have a civil conversation with your friends about, if say one of you is a Democrat, one of you is a Republican. You could have a civil conversation with each other, and now you can't even talk to each other because you start fighting, and it's like I don't know when it became. I mean it's a whole social media thing where you can't even have a civil conversation with your friends about anything political, or it just turns into a big fight. And it's like, why can't we just go back to, you have your opinion, I have my opinion. Maybe we're both maybe there are things that both of us, we have our own opinions on. They might not be totally correct, but I mean, no one wants to back down anymore and say, hey, you know what? Maybe there's a few things that I don't know what I'm talking about, or that I'm wrong.
Nobody wants to call anything 50-50 anymore.
No.
It's either a win or a loss. Instead of just agree to disagree for once.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
I mean, I've got plenty of friends on both sides, and I just,
I mean, that's what should make this country great, is we should be able to disagree. We should be able to discuss things, and hopefully all work together towards the same common good.
And there should be a nice Discord where you can discuss these things. That
was a brilliant word.
It's gotten so bad. What was?
Discord.
Oh,
I'm impressed.
Well, thank you, sir. It's being in the room with John. His smarts are rubbing off on me.
Oh shit! No, it's not.
No, probably not. But I had a thought, and you just had to interrupt me. But. But I mean, anything else you guys want to talk about? Or are we?
Yes. Jeez, yes.
What? Oh, no.
I've been holding it in
no.
for so long. Can we please talk about the boxing fights coming up?
Oh man, I mean, Paul versus Mayweather.
Can we talk about the Paul brothers?
I mean,
I'm sorry. They're fucking idiots.
I mean, they're smart.
No, when it comes to money,
they know how to make money.
They're doing a great job.
They know how to push.
There's anybody in the world that thinks that them assholes can stand up against a real boxer or a real MMA striker and hold their own.
They don't even. Well,
sorry if you're listening and you think that, you're a fucking idiot, because there's not a chance.
Sorry, they don't even think that. It's all about money for them. I mean, that's all it is. They don't think they can win against Mayweather, really. I mean, that's insane. I don't know. I do know that they train very hard, and they've over the past few years they've become very successful boxers. But in the end, it's Money Mayweather, man. I mean, there's no.
It's the money team, baby. You can't stop him.
I mean, there's no way that. I mean, he's got so much experience. He has so much talent. There's no way that you can. I mean, I'm gonna watch the fight just because it'll be interesting.
John, what's your opinion on Floyd Mayweather? Everybody's always claiming he's ducked and he's dodged the best fighters in his era. He's He's never been a puncher. He's never been a finisher.
No, he's not.
What? He's always a defensive fighter. What's your opinion on it?
He wears them down. That's what it is.
I mean, I have to be a big fan because I grew up in Grand Rapids, and he was huge there.
Shit, why'd I even ask?
So, I mean, I've followed him ever since, I was in high school, or he was coming up, and he was a big deal back then before he was on the national stage. And, yeah, I mean, I can't be anything but complimentary to him. I think he's had a great career.
Yeah, and I don't think that anyone, especially, I don't think either one of the Paul brothers can beat him. Which one's actually fighting? I forget.
Logan Paul, I believe, is the one. The younger brother is the one that's gonna.
Logan is the younger. I know that. Yeah.
He's 6 inches taller than this man, and he's still gonna get knocked out.
He probably is.
Yeah.
If Mayweather decides he's actually gonna take this fight serious, and he's gonna fight this man like he would fight any other fight, Logan Paul, you're getting ready to get your ass whipped, son. It's not even going to be close. Good luck hitting the guy.
I mean,
that's the thing.
That's the
head work. When it comes to Floyd Mayweather,
that's what
head work and his head movement.
That's what
and
he
his
does.
Footwork,
though,
there's nothing even close.
Just wears him down.
Nobody can touch that man.
It takes a lot when you actually throw a hard punch. It takes a lot out of you.
Sure,
and that's what he does. He wears your ass out. That's what he did with
Conor McGregor.
Yeah,
he did
exactly.
Conor McGregor.
That's exactly.
He took some punishment.
Yep.
But the man can take a punch. There's no question about that.
For a minute there, you're like, "What's?" I mean, McGregor's getting all these punches in, but what ended up happening is McGregor just got worn out.
Come third round, what's McGregor going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
He's throwing his haymakers,
right?
And the man couldn't even hurt him.
No.
He stood there and took it.
Yeah,
because there was nothing in it. There's nothing left in his tank.
Yeah, I mean, he's
MMA and boxing. Two different sports, folks. If you think that you can go from a boxer to an MMA specialist, you're wrong. Well, and the same thing goes. You can't go from MMA to boxing because you can't do it.
I'd say you can go from boxing to MMA. I don't think
you can do it.
I think it's harder to go to MMA from MMA to boxing.
From a boxing standpoint, you might be the Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Go to MMA. What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
When a man puts you on his back, what are you gonna do? You can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do. You can't strike from laying on your back.
Right.
I guess I'm a little biased being an MMA guy. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I might be a little biased.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say I don't know. I've never been big in MMA. I mean, I would watch the fights occasionally, but I've never been big into it. I was always more of a boxing fan, so I don't know a lot of the guys in MMA. I mean, the only reason I know some of the guys is listening to Joe Rogan.
I'll tell you what, Dana White.
Seriously, Dana White. I know.
If for some reason someone gets this video or to Dana White, Dana White,
why are you whoring us out like this?
Please let go of Nick Diaz. Let that man go fight Dan Hardy.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Let that man go fight Dan Hardy.
No clue.
I'm clearly the MMA guy.
That's a fact.
Of this group. Please let him go fight Dan Hardy in Japan.
Yeah.
Let him out of his contract. Let the man go make some money. Get him out of there.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. I have no idea who either one of those are. I know who Dana White is. He's the president of the MMA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So
UFC president.
UFC president. Yeah, that's right. So, anyways, I think we're gonna wrap it up for today. Chad, it was good talking to you. John, great having you in here. I hope you join us again, and we'll talk to you later. See ya.
Thanks, guys.